Hello, my dear friend, and welcome to History for Sleep, where the stars become lullabies and the universe unfolds like a slow, drifting dream. Tonight, let go of the rush of the day. Take a deep breath and allow your mind to float. Float beyond the clouds, beyond the mountains, into the gentle darkness of space, where light has traveled for millions of years just to meet your eyes. Each story tonight is not just science, it's meditation. It's the breath of the cosmos, the memory of stars that died long ago, yet still sing through their light. If this journey brings you calm, please leave a like, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe so that on quiet nights to come, we can drift once more together among the stars. On nights when the moon forgets to rise, the sky becomes an ancient instrument, a dark harp strung with light, trembling in silence. And there, at the edge of perception, floats a faint smear, so soft, so unassuming, you might think it's a flaw in your vision. But it isn't. That pale whisper on the canvas of night is an entire galaxy. A trillion suns murmuring across 2 million years of space. Andromeda, a ghost of light, crossing the void with the patience of eternity, carrying within it the memory of creation itself. Every night it waits, quiet and constant, above the world's noise. While civilizations rise and fall, while oceans retreat and mountains fade, Andromeda keeps shining, not as a promise, but as a remembrance. Its light began its journey long before human eyes had even learned to weep or dream. When it finally arrived, it found us here, still wondering what it means to exist beneath a sky so vast it refuses to end. Look closer. What you see is not a blur, but a mirror, a reflection of our own Milky Way, distant yet familiar, like a memory we've forgotten how to name. Its spiral arms are rivers of time, its core a golden heartbeat older than language. Every photon that reaches you tonight is a letter from the past, signed in starlight, addressed to the human soul. We are made of this same dust, this same quiet brilliance. The iron in our blood once burned in those distant suns. The calcium in our bones was forged in their death. When you breathe the ashes of galaxies. When you dream, perhaps you remember them. And in that realization, in that soft, impossible recognition, you begin to feel what our ancestors must have felt. That awe is not a question, but a form of prayer. Andromeda has been whispering it for millions of years. It does not demand belief, only attention. So let your mind drift now, past the clouds, past the blue air, into that deep velvet where silence has gravity. Imagine standing at the threshold of another universe, watching the spiral turn, feeling time slow until even your heartbeat becomes part of its orbit. There, in the stillness between stars, you might begin to understand. This is not an image, it's a story. A story told in light so old, it remembers before there was memory. And somewhere within it, you, a single flicker of consciousness, are listening back. When the blur begins to sharpen, when your eyes, helped by lenses of glass and silver, reach beyond the haze, something miraculous happens. What was once a soft smudge becomes structure, architecture, intention. You begin to see the bones of another world, lanes of dust curling like the deltas of forgotten rivers, spiral avenues where newborn stars glitter in blue, young and unashamed. Through small binoculars, Andromeda is a mist. Through great telescopes, it becomes a cathedral. Every arm is a hallway of time, every cluster a chorus of light. You feel it rather than see it, a sense that you're not peering into distance but into memory. And somewhere, deep in that realization, a quiet thought forms. This looks familiar, because it is. Andromeda is not only a neighbor, it is a mirror. a reflection of our own Milky Way seen from outside the shoreline of our sky. For centuries, humanity looked outward and imagined gods. But perhaps what we were really seeing in all those faint cosmic ghosts was ourselves. Imagine this: two spirals drifting through the same sea of night, two galaxies made of the same hydrogen breath, the same iron bones, the same quiet, turning grace. Andromeda, 2 million years away, and yet somehow close. Its light feels personal, almost intimate, like the echo of a voice that once spoke our name. Scientists will tell you that its chemistry is nearly identical to ours, that both galaxies were born from the same ancient cloud after the dawn of the universe, siblings separated by distance, destined one day to reunite. But beyond science, there's something more human here, something older than data, a recognition. When you gaze at Andromeda, you are looking at what we might appear to another observer, a great whirlpool of light in the deep. It is our reflection on a cosmic lake, shimmering and slow. It's the universe's way of saying, look, this is what you are. Not small, not lost, but infinite in pattern, connected by rhythm. Long ago, our ancestors didn't know what they were seeing. They called it the little cloud. In Mesopotamia, in China, in Greece, scribes and astronomers alike recorded its position, its faintness, its strangeness. To them, it was not a galaxy, it was a mystery. Something that lived just beyond comprehension, too steady to be a comet, too soft to be a star. Yet generation after generation kept marking it down, watching it move with the seasons. It became a familiar stranger, always there, always patient. And now tonight we watch it again. Only this time, we know. We know it's a whole galaxy, vast beyond imagining. We know it's filled with stars, with worlds, with nebulae, glowing in colors no human eye could ever see unaided. And yet, knowing doesn't lessen the wonder, it deepens it. Because now we understand how fragile that connection is. How across millions of years light travels unbroken through the void, never scattered, never silenced, just to arrive here in your eyes tonight. When we study Andromeda, we are not studying something out there. We are studying context. We are studying home. The way a poet might hold up a mirror to their own face, not to admire, but to remember, to understand what time and distance have done to them. Perhaps that's why Andromeda feels so strangely familiar, because in every way that matters, it is us. It breathes as we do. It spins as we do. It grows old, it collides, it creates. Its stars are born in storms of dust, live brilliant lives, and die in silence, giving back to the dark the very elements that will form the next generation. That same cycle unfolds within us: birth, transformation, dissolution. The galaxies turn, and so do we. If you listen closely to the language of science, you can almost hear the poetry beneath it. When astronomers describe Andromeda's spiral arms, they speak of density waves, of orbits and collisions, of molecular clouds condensing into stars. But what they're really describing is rhythm. The pulse of the universe, the same rhythm that moves through your breath right now. Each inhale, each exhale mirrors the expansion and contraction of creation. Each heartbeat echoes the slow, unending turn of stars. When we say Andromeda is our mirror, it is not metaphor. It is anatomy. You are built from the same story, written in the same alphabet of light. And somewhere in those swirls of silver blue, a star might be watching us too, marveling at the faint glow of our own Milky Way, wondering perhaps if someone lives there, someone looking back. The first time Edwin Hubble looked at Andromeda through the Great Hooker telescope, he changed our place in the universe. Until then, we believed the Milky Way was everything, all of creation, confined to a single island of light. But Andromeda whispered otherwise. It said, "No, there are others, other islands, other shores, other homes beyond your horizon." And suddenly, humanity's world expanded overnight from one galaxy to billions. It was as if a veil had lifted, as if the night itself had taken a deep breath and said, "You are not alone." Now, 100 years later, that discovery still humbles us. Because even with our satellites, our radio arrays, our deep-field telescopes, we are still standing at the edge of an ocean too vast to cross. And yet, the reflection of that ocean lives within us. We see it in our DNA, in the hydrogen atoms that spin in our cells, in the gold and calcium that once burned in the bellies of dying stars. Every one of us carries a little Andromeda inside. Every heartbeat is a tiny spiral turning endlessly, a microcosm of the galaxy itself. Perhaps that's why its light feels like déjà vu, a quiet tug in the chest, a sense that we've seen this before, as though some ancient part of us remembers the view from long ago. And in this awareness, something deeply human unfolds. We begin to sense that studying Andromeda isn't about measuring or cataloging. It's about listening. Listening to what the universe is saying when it reflects us back to ourselves. It says, "You are made of me. You are not a stranger here. You belong." That realization changes the tone of the night. The stars stop being distant. They become companions. The void stops being empty. It becomes a silence full of meaning. And what was once a cold study of space becomes a meditation, a gentle merging of wonder and understanding. Through the telescope's glass, the faint haze sharpens once more. Dust lanes, star clouds, glowing knots of hydrogen, each a note in an eternal composition. You begin to sense the harmony behind the chaos, the quiet intelligence of gravity weaving everything together. And in that realization, your breath slows. The world softens. Because for a moment, you see what Andromeda truly is. Not a distant object, but a reminder that everything, every star, every cell, every thought, is part of one unfolding pattern, one cosmic fabric still being woven in real time. When our Milky Way and Andromeda finally meet, billions of years from now, their stars will pass through one another without collision. Their shapes will stretch and bend and merge until a new galaxy is born. A single, luminous child of two ancient beings. And maybe that, too, is our destiny. To meet what we once thought was separate, to merge without destruction, to become something greater than what we were. So tonight, when you step outside and lift your eyes to that faint cloud above the tree line, remember, you are looking into a mirror beyond your shore, a reflection not only of your galaxy, but of your own being. The same atoms, the same light, the same story, told again and again in the language of stars. Let that thought cradle you as you drift towards sleep. Let the universe breathe with you, because you are not gazing into the dark tonight. You are gazing home. When we gaze upon Andromeda, we are not merely looking into space, we are looking into time. Every shimmer of light, every hue of blue and red, every faint ghost of a spiral arm carries a memory older than humanity itself. For an astronomer, this is not just a view, it's an excavation. Because while archaeologists read the soil of Earth, astronomers read the light of heaven. Each photon is a grain of cosmic sand, each wavelength a buried artifact, unearthed not by a trowel, but by a telescope. Andromeda is an archaeological site made of starlight. Within its glow are layers, strata of time stacked across millions of years, glowing gently in the night like the embers of an ancient fire still refusing to die. In its center a red bulge, old, weary, dense, a fossil heart made of ancient suns long past their prime. Around it, spiral arms unfurl in blue and white, vibrant and young, like rivers freshly born from glacial melt. And further still, faint arcs, the pale skeletons of smaller galaxies, torn, stretched, folded into the larger whole by the slow, invisible hands of gravity. Every line, every shimmer, is a scar of creation. A record of encounters long forgotten by the cosmos, but written forever in the pattern of light. When astronomers map those streams, they are tracing the fingerprints of ancient mergers, the slow, stately violence by which galaxies grow. In another age, humans left behind standing stones, silent markers of moments we didn't want to forget. Andromeda has done the same. Its faint tidal arcs are its monoliths, monuments not of stone but of stars left where once the tides of gravity surged. Perhaps they, too, are memorials, reminders of the small galaxies that were, the civilizations of starlight that vanished into the embrace of something larger. If we could stand there, in one of those pale arcs, we might see our own Milky Way as a ghostly smear on the distant horizon, and wonder whether we too are destined to be folded into another's memory. This is the archaeology of light, the slow uncovering of stories told in silence. Archaeology on Earth digs down, astronomy looks up, but both seek the same thing: the past, preserved in layers. A shard of pottery, a buried foundation, a broken star, all whisper the same message: we were here. Andromeda's light carries billions of such whispers. Some come from stars still alive, others from those long extinguished. When we observe it, we do not see what it is, we see what it was. Every observation is a time machine, every telescope a doorway. To look at Andromeda is to reach through 2 million years of darkness and touch what once was present, what once was now. That realization changes everything, because the glow we see tonight left its home before humanity existed. Before we had language, or cities, or even fire, and yet, here it is, traveling faithfully across the void, carrying the memory of a universe that does not forget. Some call light the messenger of the divine, and in a way, they are right. For what is more sacred than a thing that crosses time unbroken? Each photon that touches your eye tonight began its journey long before your species learned to dream. And still it arrives, precise, unhurried, uncorrupted, to deliver a message written in color. Red means age and distance. Blue means youth and heat. The soft gradation between them is not random. It's a symphony, a record of birth, life, decay, and renewal. Where archaeologists brush away dust to reveal bones, astronomers filter wavelengths to reveal the bones of galaxies, the structures, the rhythms, the quiet architecture of time itself. If you listen closely, not with your ears, but with the stillness of your mind, you can almost hear it. A thun, a long exhale, the deep breathing of eternity. Andromeda's story is not one of chaos, but of patience. Gravity is the artist, and time is its canvas. Over billions of years, small galaxies drift too close, their stars plucked and scattered like petals in a slow-motion wind. At first destruction, then rebirth. From their dissolution, new spirals form, and the galaxy grows more complex, more beautiful, more alive. There is poetry in that, the way endings feed beginnings, the way loss creates structure. What we see in Andromeda's light is not tragedy, but transformation. A record of how the universe keeps remaking itself, how nothing truly vanishes, it simply changes form. When we study those faint tidal streams, we are reading the autobiography of creation. Each arc of light, each ripple of dust, each pattern of stars is a line in a cosmic diary written over eons. And the hand that writes it is gravity, invisible, tireless, endlessly patient. It sculpts, it merges, it remembers. And though we cannot see it directly, we can see what it leaves behind. Bridges of stars connecting galaxies, rings and shells formed by long-ago collisions, rivers of dust tracing the contours of events older than life on Earth. In a way, every astronomer is an archaeologist of the infinite, digging through light, sifting through wavelengths, piecing together the fragments of existence itself. But perhaps what makes this so profound is not the scale of it, but the intimacy. Because when we uncover these stories of Andromeda's past, we are in some strange way uncovering our own. The same cosmic mergers that shaped Andromeda also shaped us. Our Milky Way too carries scars, faint tidal streams, shattered companions, absorbed histories. We are built from the remnants of others. Our galaxy, our solar system, even our atoms. In that sense, we are living fossils of the universe. Our existence is evidence of every explosion, every fusion, every silent collapse that ever happened. To study Andromeda's archaeology is to look into the mirror of our own cosmic ancestry. And yet, amid all this grandeur, there's something deeply peaceful about it. The violence of galactic collision happens in such slow motion that to us it feels like stillness. Every act of destruction unfolds over billions of years, so slow that if you watched from within, it would look like nothing at all. Only later, when seen from afar, does the pattern reveal itself, graceful, inevitable, like a tide carving stone. And maybe that's a lesson for us too, that not all endings are loud, that transformation often comes in silence, that what feels like loss may simply be change, a reorganization of energy, a slow, invisible growth toward something larger. So when we gaze at Andromeda tonight, we are not merely spectators of beauty. We are participants in memory. We are looking at the fossil record of light itself, at the patient artistry of gravity, at the endless dance of birth and dissolution that makes life possible at all. Each spark in that spiral is both an ancient tomb and a cradle. Each color is both past and present, a chord in the great music of time. And if you close your eyes, you might feel it. The soft vibration beneath your own heartbeat, the recognition that this too is your story. You are not apart from this cosmic archaeology. You are one of its discoveries. Because perhaps the most profound truth of all is that light remembers. It remembers the moment a star ignited. It remembers the first atoms of hydrogen fusing into helium. It remembers the heat, the silence, the expansion, the long cooling of creation, and it carries that memory forward endlessly until at last it touches you. And for one fleeting second, you become the final layer in its history. You are the archaeologist now, and Andromeda is the dig site, not beneath your feet, but above your gaze, an ancient archive suspended in darkness, waiting patiently for someone to listen. What are we truly seeing when we lift our gaze toward that soft, distant oval in the dark? Is it Andromeda as it is now, alive, turning, whispering across the void? Or is it a memory, a photograph made of light that began its journey before we even had words to name the stars? This is the first question. not of astronomy, but of existence. Because when we look at Andromeda, we are not seeing the present, we are seeing the past, an echo stretched across time, carried by light that left its home more than 2 million years ago. That glow began long before the first humans drew breath, before our ancestors gathered around the first fire, before memory itself learned to dream. What you are witnessing tonight is ancient sunlight, a letter written in the deep past, arriving just now, addressed to you. Light is the universe's handwriting. It records everything but never repeats itself. Every ray that reaches us from Andromeda is both messenger and mirror, a sliver of the past that refuses to die. It has crossed the cold emptiness of intergalactic space, surviving collisions, cosmic dust, and time itself, just to bring us a single truth, that in this universe, distance and memory are one and the same. When the light from Andromeda touches your eyes, you become part of that story. Your retina, your brain, your awareness, they all complete a process that began before humanity existed. It's humbling, isn't it, to realize that what you're seeing is not now, but the long-ago heartbeat of another world. And yet, we cannot help but ask, if we are looking into Andromeda's past, could someone there, somewhere among those trillion suns, be looking back at us? Not as we are, but as we were? Could another pair of eyes be tracing the faint smudge of the Milky Way, wondering the same impossible thought? Is someone out there, looking at me? Look, canyon of years. It's an unsettling beauty, this symmetry. Two galaxies, drifting toward one another across a canyon of years, their light crossing like messages in a bottle. Each carries the other's past, but neither knows the other's present. We exist in a dialogue of delay, speaking and answering across millions of years, like lovers who write letters that arrive long after their senders are gone. When we look at Andromeda, we are not seeing it as it is today. We are seeing it as it was. Its stars younger, its clusters brighter, its arms perhaps less distorted by the slow approach toward us. By the time its present light reaches us, we will have changed as well. The continents will have shifted, the oceans will have moved, and even the shape of our own galaxy may be altered. Everything we see is always history. We will have changed as well. There's a strange comfort in that, though, because it means that nothing ever truly vanishes. The universe keeps records, not in stone or ink, but in photons. Every sunrise, every flicker of firelight, every reflection off your skin is still out there somewhere, traveling, expanding, becoming part of the cosmic archive. Perhaps one day, far away, someone or something will catch a glimmer of that light and know that we once existed here, on this tiny blue world that floated in silence and dared to ask questions. And isn't that what defines us most? Not our inventions or empires, but our capacity to wonder, to look into the infinite and whisper, what if? What if someone is looking back? What if in some distant spiral arm of Andromeda, a being sits by its own quiet fire, studying our faint Milky Way the way we study theirs? Two civilizations, separated by time, yet meeting in the middle of eternity through the only language both can understand: light. The philosopher once said, to know the present, you must first see the past. But in the cosmos, there is no separation between them. Every observation is a journey backward, every glance a rediscovery of what once was. Even our sun, so near and constant, reaches us after 8 minutes of travel. In that sense, every star we see is already a ghost, and every ghost is still alive in the only way the universe allows, through memory made visible. So when you gaze upon Andromeda, Remember, you are not just looking across space, you are looking across time. The galaxy you see tonight may already have changed, its stars moved, its shapes reshaped by tides of gravity. But the image you hold in your eyes is real, because memory is real. Light does not lie, it only arrives late. And perhaps that lateness is what makes the universe so achingly human. We too live in echoes. Our memories, our histories, our myths, all are light delayed, refracted through time and emotion. We speak to our ancestors through the traces they left, just as future generations will one day study us, reading our ruins, our records, our radiation signatures, trying to understand who we were. Andromeda, then, is not only a galaxy, it is a teacher. It shows us that to exist is to be both present and past, a collection of moments that continue to shine long after they are gone. It reminds us that everything we do sends ripples outward, that our smallest actions, our laughter, our warmth, our light, might one day be seen by eyes we will never meet. Imagine this. Somewhere within Andromeda's luminous sprawl, a planet circles a quiet yellow star. Perhaps it has oceans, clouds, and wind. Perhaps on one of its nights, a being, curious, reflective, much like you, steps outside, looks up, and notices a faint mist, a pale spiral floating just beyond reach. That is us, our Milky Way. Our entire story reduced to a distant, trembling glow. They might not know what they're seeing. They might call it the other cloud. But in that moment, they too would feel what we feel now. That stirring, that ache, that quiet awe at the realization that somewhere, someone might be watching back. And if both species, ours and theirs, could somehow bridge that canyon of time, they would discover a truth beyond science. That wonder itself is universal. That curiosity is not limited to one world, but is the very heartbeat of existence. The first question, then, is not about astronomy at all. It's about connection. It asks not what we see, but who we are in the act of seeing. It reminds us that we are participants in a dialogue written in the oldest language there is, light. Every glance at the night sky is a question, and every star is an answer that has taken millions of years to arrive. So when you next look up, when you find that shy oval hanging in the dark, pause. Let its ancient glow settle into you. Feel the time it carries, the distance it has crossed, the quiet patience of the universe waiting to be remembered. And ask yourself gently, as the first storytellers once did around their embered fires, if they are looking at us right now, what do they see? A civilization still learning to wonder, or a reflection of themselves, flickering faintly across the vast, luminous gulf of time? Because perhaps, in the end, the universe is not a place we explore. Perhaps it is a conversation we are still learning how to hear. And Andromeda, that delicate oval in the night, is whispering the oldest of questions. Not, where are we, but when are we? Not, who is out there, but who are we when we dare to look into the infinite and see our own light shining back? If you follow the spiral arms of Andromeda far enough, beyond the glare of its ancient core, and into the tender blue of its younger reaches, you begin to see a different kind of story unfolding. Not the story of endings, but of beginnings. There, hidden among ribbons of dust and shadow, lie the nurseries of stars, vast clouds of hydrogen gas glowing like banked embers, their light soft and expectant, their silence full of promise. From these cosmic wombs, new suns are born. They flicker, tremble, and ignite, each one a spark of renewal in the endless respiration of the galaxy. The ancients once imagined gods forging stars in celestial furnaces, hurling them into the dark like seeds of light. And perhaps they weren't entirely wrong. For when we peer into Andromeda's star fields through the patient eyes of our telescopes, we see the same act of creation playing out, over and over again. Hydrogen, the simplest of all atoms, the first breath of the universe, is drawn inward by gravity, folded, squeezed, warmed, until it crosses an invisible threshold. And in that moment, the impossible happens. Matter remembers how to shine. A new star is born. It takes its first breath, not in air, but in fusion. It begins to hum in a language of heat and light. Its rhythm joins the great chorus of the galaxy, a pulse that can be felt across time and space, the steady inhalation and exhalation of creation itself. Old stars die, new ones rise. Supernovae flare like divine punctuation marks, their explosions scattering the elements of existence. Iron for our blood, calcium for our bones, oxygen for our breath, gold for the jewelry of worlds. In death, they create the raw material of life. Every star that dies writes a chemical verse in the poetry of becoming. And so the galaxy breathes. It draws in clouds of gas, weaves them into stars, and exhales heat and radiation into the void. Each inhale a creation, each exhale a memory. Some say a galaxy is a great lung of the cosmos, and perhaps that's the most beautiful metaphor science has ever whispered. Because if you listen closely, not with your ears, but with that quiet place inside you that recognizes rhythm, you can feel it. The slow, deep breathing of Andromeda, the gentle rise and fall of energy, the expansion and release, as though the universe itself is alive and contemplative. From the smallest atom to the greatest cluster of galaxies, everything participates in this same rhythm. It is the breath that connects all things. Stars, oceans, clouds, humans, memory. The same oxygen in your lungs once drifted in the atmospheres of ancient stars. The carbon in your cells once burned in the hearts of supernovae. We are, quite literally, the dust of exhaled galaxies. Andromeda reminds us that the universe is not static. It is alive in cycles. Creation and dissolution, birth and collapse, not as opposites, but as partners in an eternal dance. To watch a galaxy breathe is to watch existence itself practice meditation. The inhalation of matter into stars, the exhalation of energy into space. The long pause between the two, a silence so vast it could cradle 1,000 lifetimes. Perhaps that is what we feel when we look at the stars at night. A sense of being synchronized with something infinite. Our own lungs rise and fall in quiet harmony with the unseen respiration of the cosmos. Each breath we take is an echo of that galactic rhythm, a reminder that we are not observers of the universe, but participants in its song. In the star nurseries of Andromeda, you can almost sense the tenderness of the process. Amid clouds of luminous gas, newborn suns stretch their light through the haze, their warmth sculpting the very dust that birthed them. Nearby, others fade, cooling into red embers, collapsing into white dwarfs or neutron stars, their long lives distilled into a final whisper of light. The galaxy carries them all, the young and the old, the bright and the dying, with the same patient grace. There is no haste, no tragedy, only transformation. Perhaps that's the most profound lesson hidden in Andromeda's arms, that nothing is ever truly lost. The light of dying stars becomes the soil of new ones. The matter of one world becomes the dream of another. Everything feeds everything. Creation is not a beginning, it is a continuation. If galaxies are lungs, then we are their size, momentary, fleeting, but still part of the rhythm. And if the universe is breathing, then it must, in some quiet way, be alive. Not in the way we understand life, with blood and heartbeat and hunger, but in the way a thought is alive, expanding, reflecting, evolving. The breath of Andromeda carries that thought across the abyss. Each pulse of light is both a question and an answer. Each star a meditation on impermanence. In its rising and fading, we find a reflection of ourselves, our own cycles of birth and loss, of inspiration and forgetting, of creation and rest. To live is to breathe, and to breathe is to participate in the unfolding of the cosmos. Andromeda shows us that even the grandest scales of being obey this same truth. When astronomers observe these stellar nurseries through the lens of infrared and ultraviolet, they are not just studying physics, they are witnessing alchemy. The transformation of chaos into order, of darkness into light, of gas into consciousness. Because somewhere, far down the line, those newborn stars will host planets. And on some of those planets, chemistry will become biology, and biology will become awareness. From hydrogen clouds to human thought, it is all one long inhale. The same breath that began with the first ignition of the universe continues through us, each of us a brief exhalation of starlight, learning to wonder about itself. When you think about it, to breathe is to echo the cosmos. Each breath is a quiet act of remembrance, a small imitation of Andromeda's rhythm. Inhale the past, exhale possibility. Draw in the ancient air that once drifted between suns, release it as something new. It is in this exchange that consciousness finds its balance. Science can measure the chemistry, but poetry reveals the meaning. The galaxy breathes so that we may think, and we think so that the galaxy may know itself. So tonight, as you drift into the velvet dark, imagine the arms of Andromeda turning slowly, a vast lung, inhaling starlight, exhaling gold. Imagine the quiet rise and fall of its unseen rhythm, steady, eternal, compassionate. Feel your own breath align with it, a shared pulse across the gulf of space. You are breathing with a galaxy. You are breathing with creation itself. And in that quiet synchronization, you may realize something luminous. That thought, the rarest spark of all, is simply the universe learning how to breathe consciously. Far above the bright, spiraling arms of Andromeda, beyond the golden lanes of dust and the blue nurseries of newborn stars, there exists a region most eyes never see. A vast, silent kingdom that surrounds the galaxy like a mist around a mountain. Astronomers call it the halo, but the word hardly does it justice. It is not empty. It is not still. It is an invisible cathedral of matter and memory. Out here, light is scarce, but meaning is dense. Wisps of gas drift like incense through the corridors of darkness, and within that ghostly expanse hang the globular clusters, ancient congregations of stars, the elders of the cosmos. Their light is not white or blue like the youthful arms below. It burns amber, aged like candlelight behind stained glass. Each cluster holds hundreds of thousands of suns packed into a sphere so dense that from within the sky would never be dark. A constant, eternal dawn. These are the pilgrims of the halo. They have been circling Andromeda since before our sun was even born. Older than our world, older than memory itself. They are the witnesses of cosmic time, keepers of what the galaxy once was, guardians of the age before structure, before order, before the spiral took shape. When astronomers look at these clusters through their telescopes, they are not just studying light, They are reading ancestry. Every star within them carries the chemical handwriting of an earlier universe. Their spectra speak of times when the elements we now take for granted, iron, carbon, oxygen, did not yet exist. The first generations of stars forged those atoms in their fiery deaths, and the clusters preserved the record like ancient scrolls sealed in the dark. Some of these globulars, scientists now suspect, may once have been the hearts of small galaxies, tiny civilizations of starlight that were swallowed by Andromeda long ago. Stripped of their outer stars, their cores remained, circling like relics of lost worlds. And in this realization, the galaxy becomes something larger than we imagined. Not a single city, but a collection of cities, a layered civilization built upon the remnants of others. Each cluster a story, each orbit a memory. In that sense, Andromeda is not one thing. It is an anthology, a great book written in light, its pages scattered across the halo. Every chapter begins with a collision, a merger, a slow absorption of the small by the vast. Over billions of years, these quiet acts of cosmic assimilation have built the grand spiral we see today. But it's not conquest, it's remembrance. Nothing is truly erased. It is folded in, woven into the fabric of something larger. Just as our own bodies carry the DNA of ancestors long vanished, Andromeda's halo carries the genetic code of the universe's early epochs. Each cluster is a fossil galaxy, each orbit a scar of union, each glow a hymn from the deep past. To drift through the halo, even in imagination, is to enter a place of holy silence. There is no up or down here, no sound, no air, no end. Only the faint pulse of gravity, the steady hum of the cosmic choir. And in that stillness, you begin to sense something profound, that the galaxy, for all its brilliance and movement, rests within this quiet field like a heartbeat within a vast chest. The halo is Andromeda's breath made visible. It is the space between notes, the unseen rhythm that holds the whole composition together. Without it, the disk below, the bright spiral of gas and light, would unravel. The halo gives structure to the unseen. It is the invisible architecture of balance. Perhaps in our own lives we need such halos too. Those vast, invisible spaces that hold our chaos together, the memories and histories that give gravity to who we are. Think of how human civilizations mirror this pattern. Cities rise, absorb others, merge and grow, each layer building upon the last until the original foundations are buried beneath centuries of dust. The past never vanishes, it becomes the scaffolding of the present. And so it is with galaxies. Andromeda's halo is its archive, its library, its collective memory written not in words, but in orbits and light. Every globular cluster is a page in that cosmic chronicle. Each carries a signature of age and origin, a whisper from a time when galaxies were young, when the universe itself was still learning how to arrange matter into form. If you could hold one of those clusters in your mind, if you could float among its golden stars, you would see not the chaos of birth, but the serenity of endurance. Stars that have burned for 12 billion years, unchanged, unhurried, quietly circling their galactic host. They are living fossils of eternity. Somewhere out there, beyond the visible edge of Andromeda, dark matter forms the unseen skeleton of all this beauty. We cannot see it, cannot touch it, but without it, nothing would exist. It binds the halo, steadies the arms, holds the galaxy in its unseen embrace. We are like monks studying a sacred manuscript whose ink we cannot perceive, tracing shapes we barely understand, but feeling intuitively that something vast and merciful lies beneath. It's humbling to realize that even the stars, those blazing symbols of permanence, depend upon the invisible for their survival, that beneath every luminous thing, there is darkness holding it in place. As you drift farther into this cathedral, imagine yourself looking down upon the spiral below. You'd see the glowing disk of Andromeda turning slowly, its arms like ribbons of silk stretched across a cosmic altar. From this height, you begin to understand the balance of it all, how the bright and the hidden, the old and the new, are not opposites but collaborators. Below, the newborn stars blaze and fade, their brief lives fueling the next generation. Above, the halo keeps vigil, ancient and patient, guarding the memory of what came before. Together, they form a conversation between youth and age, between what is becoming and what has endured. And in that conversation lies the soul of the galaxy itself. Perhaps that's the secret Andromeda holds, that nothing in the universe stands alone. Everything we see, every light, every breath, every thought, is built upon what came before. Even galaxies are mosaics of what they have consumed, their splendor born from the quiet generosity of smaller things. To know Andromeda, we must see it not as a single being, but as a community of stars, a chorus of histories singing in unison. Each cluster hums its own note, and together they create harmony. The cosmic equivalent of memory turned into music. So when we speak of the halo, we are really speaking of the mind of the galaxy, the place where it stores what it cannot forget. It is the attic of creation, filled with relics too precious to discard. And somewhere within that ancient light, perhaps there are messages, not in language but in rhythm, not in symbols but in starlight. If you listen long enough, you might hear them. They say, "We were here. We endured. We are still part of you." And so, Andromeda is not one story. It is many. Layered, blended, remembered. It is the universe's way of saying that memory is not bound by time. Even when stars fade, their influence lingers. Even when galaxies die, their essence remains. Perhaps one day, when our own Milky Way merges with the Andromeda, our halo too will be woven into this grand anthology. Our stars will join the ancient choir, our light folded into theirs, our story written into the eternal record. And in that moment, if galaxies can dream, Andromeda will remember us. Deep within the shining body of Andromeda, beneath the spiraling arms, beneath the star-born rivers and the elder halo, there lies a heart. Not a heart that beats with sound, but with gravity. Silent, invisible, yet infinitely powerful. It is the center around which everything turns, the quiet engine that keeps the galaxy breathing. From afar, it glows gold, a dense, molten shimmer, a storm of light so concentrated that even darkness bends around it. If you could drift close enough, you would feel the motion long before you saw it. Stars hurtling through space, moving at impossible speeds, as if drawn by something unseen, something neither kind nor cruel, but inevitable. Astronomers call it a supermassive black hole, a point where matter collapses into itself, where light becomes memory, where time folds like fabric and space learns the meaning of surrender. And though we can't see it directly, its presence is undeniable, revealed in the way stars dance, in their frantic orbits, in the way the heart of Andromeda glows like a forge hidden beneath silk. Imagine it. A gravitational loom at the center of a cosmic tapestry, weaving orbits, heat, and radiation into one luminous knot. Every star, every particle, every breath of dust moves according to its pull. Here, creation and destruction share the same breath. Matter falls inward, disappears, and yet somehow, through that vanishing, the galaxy lives. It is strange, isn't it? How the most powerful force in Andromeda, the very thing that governs its rhythm, is also the most silent, the most invisible. Perhaps that's true of many things. The stronger the presence, the quieter the voice. The black hole does not announce itself, it simply is. A perfect paradox, emptiness that commands everything around it. Through our instruments, we see not the black hole itself, but its effect. Stars flung like embers in impossible orbits, a whirling congregation of light trapped by a darkness it can never touch. Some astronomers have even glimpsed signs of a double nucleus, as if Andromeda once had two hearts that merged into one, a faint afterimage of a cosmic marriage, two galaxies drawn together, their centers locked in an embrace that took millions of years to consummate. And if that is true, then the heart of Andromeda is not a single voice, but a duet, a lingering echo of what was once two beings, now fused into one eternal note. How many myths on distant worlds might have been born beneath that radiant core? How many ancient eyes might have looked up from alien horizons, wondering what god or creature resided in that burning heart of gold? The black hole at the center of Andromeda, like the one in our own Milky Way, is not a monster to be feared. It is an organ of balance. Without it, the galaxy would drift apart. It holds everything together through attraction, not domination. It is gravity's most intimate expression, a whisper that keeps billions of suns in step, a pulse so deep it shapes the destiny of stars. In that sense, the black hole is not death, but discipline. It teaches the stars their orbits, teaches matter where to move, teaches energy the art of return. Everything circles it, the way thought circles silence, the way faith circles mystery. Perhaps that's what makes it sacred. If you could stand somewhere near that center, if such a place could exist, you would see no boundaries, only motion. Stars weaving in chaotic harmony, light twisting into filaments, dust glowing like gold dust scattered in a slow, eternal whirlpool. The heat would be unbearable, the radiation unending, yet there would also be a strange serenity to it, a sense of perfect order hidden within overwhelming power. That is the paradox of Andromeda's heart. It is both chaos and peace, both creation and consumption. It is the place where the galaxy remembers that everything born must one day return. Some nights, when we observe it through telescopes, we see brief flares, flashes of light erupting near the center, like sparks leaping from a hidden forge. These are not random. They are the songs of matter crossing the event horizon, its final cry before becoming part of something larger. In that instant, the universe listens. The galaxy glows just a little brighter, as if bowing in quiet respect to its own origin. And it makes one wonder, how many worlds, how many suns, how many civilizations have lived and died under that same pull? How many myths have been told beneath its watchful silence? In Andromeda's core, there may have been planets that saw twin suns set in the same sky, beings that felt the tides of that great black heart and built stories around its unseen power. Perhaps they named it. Perhaps they prayed to it. Perhaps, like us, they looked into the night and felt both awe and fear in the face of something that could never be fully known. And yet, despite its ferocity, The black hole gives back more than it takes. For as it feeds, it also radiates. Energy spills outward, heating the gas, shaping the stars, igniting the very life that surrounds it. It is both destroyer and creator, the inhale and exhale of a galactic lung. Without its hunger, there would be no order, no light, no Andromeda as we know it. What a strange, exquisite truth, that the heart of a galaxy, its source of beauty, its anchor of motion, is an absence, a nothingness so complete that it becomes everything. Perhaps in this way, the universe mirrors us. For within each of us, too, lies an invisible center, a gravity made of memory, emotion, and silence. It pulls everything we are toward it, binding the fragments of our experience into a single orbit. We spend our lives circling that center, drawn by something we cannot see, trying to understand what holds us together. And like the galaxy, we discover that what we fear as emptiness is often the very thing that gives us form. The black hole teaches us the wisdom of stillness. It shows us that power need not shout, that creation can be born of surrender, that sometimes to hold the universe in place, one must first learn how to let it fall. So when you look at Andromeda's heart, that soft golden glow in a sea of black, know that you are witnessing the balance between everything that exists and everything that has ever been lost. You are watching the universe at prayer. The stars circle their unseen God, not in fear, but in devotion. They move with purpose, each orbit a gesture of trust. And perhaps that's all the universe ever wanted. Not to be understood, but to be felt. To remind us that even in the deepest silence, something is breathing. Something is holding us all. When the halo of Andromeda watches from above, it keeps memory. But when its heart beats, it keeps rhythm. Together they form the song of the galaxy, the low, eternal hum of existence in motion. And we, from our tiny corner of the Milky Way, can only listen. Hearts quiet, minds open, souls drifting towards sleep, as the great machine of light and gravity continues to turn, as Andromeda dreams in its own golden stillness. When galaxies meet, the universe does not thunder. There are no explosions, no shattering impacts echoing through the void. Instead, there is influence. A slow, invisible choreography written in the grammar of gravity. Because space, despite its majesty, is mostly emptiness. Even when two galaxies drift into one another's arms, their stars seldom collide. They glide, they weave, they circle, like dancers exchanging partners beneath a music too deep for ears to hear. And yet, even without collision, the meeting leaves its mark. You can see it in Andromeda, the way her disk is slightly warped, the way pale streams of stars trail from her edges like threads pulled loose from an ancient fabric. They are the remnants of encounters long past, cosmic low tides, marking where another galaxy once came too near, stirring her starlight into motion. Imagine two spirals approaching across the great dark sea, their arms extended, their halos brushing, their gravity entwining like fingers in a slow dance that lasts 1 billion years. There is no violence here, only motion, only the quiet rearranging of orbits, as entire systems of suns and worlds shift their paths, drawn into new harmonies. To us, these are incomprehensible scales. But to the galaxies, this is simply how memory moves. Not in seconds, but in millennia. Not in noise, but in shape. When they pass near one another, their mutual gravity stretches them, pulling long filaments of stars and gas into glowing arcs. These are tidal streams, the tides of starlight. Not water, but matter itself, flowing like liquid across cosmic shores. On Earth, we know the moon's pull raises the oceans, but in space, gravity lifts entire galaxies. Instead of waves, there are rivers of suns. Instead of foam, there is dust. Instead of the scent of salt, there is the faint, eternal perfume of hydrogen, the first element, the breath of all beginnings. And when those galactic tides rise, something extraordinary happens. Gas clouds compress. The invisible becomes luminous. New stars ignite like bonfires after rain. Vast, radiant storms of creation born from the gentle persuasion of gravity's touch. The universe, it seems, creates not through force, but through invitation. It does not collide, it coaxes. It does not destroy, it transforms. Andromeda bears the scars of such ancient meetings. Its warped disk and pale, ghost-like streams are the fossilized remains of once living galaxies, smaller, fainter, pulled apart and absorbed into something greater. They are the low tide marks of the universe itself, etched across the night for those who know how to read them. If you trace those faint arcs, those whispers of starlight, you are following the stories of forgotten companions. Tiny galaxies that wandered too close, lost their form, but not their essence. Their stars now live on inside Andromeda's arms, their light mingled with hers. This is how the cosmos remembers, not in monuments of stone, but in structure and movement. Every ripple of starlight, every curve of dust is an entry in the diary of eternity. When we look upon these celestial tides, we might be tempted to see violence, to imagine crashing worlds and burning skies. But the truth is far quieter, far more profound. Galactic encounters are not wars, they are conversations. One galaxy speaks in the language of gravity, and the other responds in shape and light. Over the course of billions of years, their dialogue continues. Questions, answers, pulls, returns. And in that long exchange, new stars are born, new patterns emerge, and the universe continues its patient work of creation. Perhaps that is the secret rhythm behind all things: growth through meeting, life through exchange. Every encounter, however distant or brief, leaves something changed: a memory, a motion, a mark. Even galaxies, those vast cathedrals of matter, cannot escape the tenderness of influence. The tides of Andromeda are not unique. Our own Milky Way bears similar scars, streams of stars stretching across the night, the remains of small galaxies once drawn into our embrace. Even now, a dwarf galaxy called Sagittarius is slowly dissolving into our spiral arms, its stars becoming part of our story. In a few billion years, we will meet Andromeda herself, and together we will write a new chapter in this endless exchange of light. But there is no need to rush toward that future, for in the vastness of space, everything moves with the patience of eternity. The galaxies turn, their tides rise and fall, their stories intertwine, and still the universe hums its quiet song of becoming. Gravity of connection? In a way, we are not so different. We too are shaped by invisible tides. The pull of memory, the gravity of connection, the subtle influences of those who pass close to us and then drift away. We absorb their light, they alter our orbits, and though we may not notice it immediately, their presence changes the architecture of our being. Perhaps that is what Andromeda is showing us now. That to live is to be in motion, to be touched, to be changed. That even the vast and the ancient are not immune to intimacy. When we imagine Andromeda's slow tides rising, its gas clouds folding, its stars kindling like embers in a dark wind, we are witnessing a process both cosmic and familiar. For this too is how we create, through meeting, through influence, through the gentle gravity of one soul passing near another. And so, when galaxies meet, there is no crash. There is recognition. They do not break, they become. They do not destroy, they evolve. Each interaction writes a new pattern into the cosmic dance, just as every connection in our lives reshapes the constellation of who we are. Perhaps Andromeda's tides are not so different from our own emotions. They rise unseen, stirring what lies beneath the surface, pulling hidden things into light. They can warp us, stretch us, make us luminous in ways we never expected. And when the tide recedes, it leaves behind the fossils of what we have become, less what we were, but more whole for the merging. Maybe that is what the universe has been teaching since the first stars formed, that everything we touch, everything we draw close, becomes part of us, and that nothing, not even distance measured in millions of light years, can truly separate what gravity has once joined. So tonight, when you look at Andromeda and see her faint, tilted disk, remember that you are not just seeing a galaxy. You are seeing the traces of her meetings, the marks of her loves, her losses, her transformations. You are seeing the tides that shaped her soul. And as you breathe in the quiet of your own night, you might feel those same tides moving gently through you too. Invisible, soft, endless. The tides without water, the tides of being that connect every atom, every star, every living thought in this universe that is always, always becoming. The universe has always spoken in the language of motion. Every planet turns, every star drifts, every galaxy travels a long road through time. And among these travelers, two giants, the Milky Way and Andromeda, are moving toward one another. Not aimlessly, not by accident, but by the quiet handwriting of gravity itself. For in the great ledger of the cosmos, this meeting is already recorded. It is not prediction, it is memory written in advance. Astronomers have measured it patiently through the shifting color of light. Andromeda's glow, instead of stretching redward as most galaxies do, leans toward blue. A whisper in the spectrum that tells us she is drawing closer. Not running away into the expansion of space, but swimming upstream against the cosmic tide toward us. It is an approach so slow, so graceful, that if you watched it unfold in real time, you'd see nothing at all. Only the passage of aeons could reveal the motion. A gentle drift across the dark, like two lanterns gliding toward one another over a still ocean. In roughly 4 billion years, give or take a few 100 million, the two spirals will meet. Their halos will touch first, the soft outer veils of dark matter brushing together like the edges of distant clouds. Then, slowly, their disks will begin to overlap. Arms will stretch and tangle. Stars will migrate. Whole constellations will lose their names. But there will be no great collision. No apocalyptic fire. Space is mostly space. The distance between stars is so vast that they will pass through one another like ghosts. Even the sun, our small bright home, may simply drift into a new orbit, carried on the rising tide of galactic merging. Try to imagine that future night. Not 4 years from now, not 4,000, but 4 billion. The Earth, if it still endures, will be a different world. The oceans might be gone, the continents unrecognizable. Yet above that alien sky, something extraordinary will appear. Arcs of stars will crown the horizon like braided aurora. Great bridges of light will stretch from one galaxy to the other, ribbons of brilliance painting the dark. What we once called the Milky Way will no longer be a solitary river of stars. It will be part of a vast, swirling sea. The constellations we know, Orion, Cassiopeia, the Great Bear, will dissolve into new shapes. The familiar will give way to the unknown, and the sky will be rewritten. Our descendants, if any remain to see it, will look up and realize they are living inside a cosmic embrace, the joining of two galaxies into one. Scientists call it the Milkometa or Milk-Dromeda galaxy, a new being born of the old. Two families merged into a single lineage, their histories intertwined, their stars intermingling like the bloodlines of ancient empires. But perhaps we might call it something simpler, hum. Because when this union happens, it won't be destruction, it will be synthesis. Not fire, but form. The universe does not end things in chaos, it reshapes them in beauty. In the same way rivers merge to become oceans, Andromeda and the Milky Way will blend their spirals, their hearts, their memory. The black holes at their centers, those quiet engines of gravity, will circle each other for eons, like dancers orbiting a single rhythm, until at last they merge as well, creating a single greater heart. From a human perspective, 4 billion years feels like an impossible distance, a span of time beyond imagination. And yet, in cosmic terms, it is soon. It is already happening. Right now, in this moment, Andromeda's approach is written into every photon of her light. Every image we capture of her is a message from a lover on her way home. She has been traveling toward us since before there were humans to notice, before there was an earth to stand upon, before even the sun had lit its first fire. This convergence was destined from the beginning, a note played in the first chord of the universe. If the cosmos had a heartbeat, this would be one of its slowest, deepest pulses, the sound of two galaxies remembering they are one. And when they meet, something miraculous will occur. Stars will burst into life at the edges of their union, born from the compression of colliding gas clouds. There will be fireworks, but not of destruction, of creation. New suns will ignite, new planets will form, and somewhere in some unknown future, new beings may arise to wonder how their sky came to be so bright. For them, our separate galaxies will be myth. They will not speak of Andromeda or the Milky Way. They will speak of one vast spiral, a single luminous memory turning through the dark. They will look into that glowing core and see not division, but unity. If you listen closely to the language of this future, you might hear echoes of ourselves in it. For this cosmic convergence mirrors our own lives in miniature, our relationships, our unions, our transformations. Every meeting leaves a mark. Every connection rewrites us. And sometimes, the very thing we fear as collision is simply the act of becoming whole. When galaxies meet, they do not end, they remember. They return to what they were always meant to be, part of a larger pattern, a greater design. And so, perhaps, do we. The date of our meeting with Andromeda is written not in prophecy, but in gravity, the most honest language the universe knows. It is not something to be feared, but to be marveled at. For even the stars are drawn toward one another, yearning to connect across the void. Maybe that is the deeper truth hidden in the blue shift of Andromeda's light. That even in a universe that expands endlessly, there are moments when two wanderers find their way together. That motion itself, that slow, invisible pull, is the cosmos' most tender gesture. We are not drifting aimlessly. We are moving toward reunion. And so, as you look up tonight at that faint smudge in the sky, remember what it truly is. Not just a galaxy, but a promise written in light. A story already unfolding, a meeting already begun. The universe is patient. It waits billions of years for its sentences to complete. But every so often, a moment like this future, this destiny, reminds us that even the vastness of space cannot stop what was meant to come together. In 4 billion years, 2 galaxies will embrace, and in that quiet fusion of light, the universe will write one of its most beautiful lines. Not doom, but synthesis. Not fire, but form. And somewhere, perhaps, in the deep stillness of that future sky, a new kind of being will look up and whisper what we once whispered too. So this is how the stars remember. Beyond the coming embrace of Andromeda and our own Milky Way lies a still larger story. A landscape of unimaginable scale, yet organized by the same quiet laws. For even the grandest spirals do not travel alone. They are neighbors, members of a shared community of motion and memory, what astronomers call the local group. It is in a way a cosmic village. The Milky Way and Andromeda sit at its center like twin town squares, each surrounded by smaller companions, the dwarf galaxies, fragile and faint, like old houses scattered on the edge of a starlit countryside. Some are bright and structured, others little more than whispers of light, ghosts made of a few million suns. They drift quietly around their larger hosts, tethered not by walls or roads, but by the soft, invisible pull of gravity. Out here in the great silence, even distance becomes intimacy. Our galaxy, Andromeda, Triangulum, and dozens of tiny dwarfs are bound together in an intricate waltz. A gravitational dance that has lasted for billions of years and will last for billions more. We orbit the same unseen center, feel the same tidal tug, move within the same cosmic weather. We are, in every sense, a family of light. But families, even cosmic ones, do not end at their borders. Beyond our local group, space expands into still grander congregations, vast archipelagos of galaxies linked by threads of gravity and time. There, stretching outward like the continental shelves of an invisible ocean, lies the Virgo supercluster. A realm so enormous that language itself begins to fail. It is not a structure built of galaxies. It is a continent of galaxies, a luminous web of 100,000 island universes suspended in a single gravitational embrace. When we look outward from our quiet corner, the Virgo supercluster rises like a foggy horizon, a faint, glowing swell in the distance, a hint that beyond our cosmic village lies a whole civilization of galaxies. And even that, scientists tell us, is not the end. Beyond Virgo lies Laniakea, a supercluster so vast that it bends the very meaning of scale, a tapestry of light woven across 500 million light-years of space. Okay. It's humbling, isn't it? To realize that our entire Milky Way, with its billions of stars, its planets, its histories and myths, is just one neighborhood in a galaxy town, itself just one town in a cosmic continent, itself just one continent in an ocean without edge. And yet, somehow, it all remains connected, not by roads or rivers, but by gravity, that silent, invisible hand that sculpts everything from the path of moons to the architecture of superclusters. If rivers carve landscapes, then gravity carves the universe. It shapes not mountains but galaxies, not valleys but voids, immense spaces where almost nothing resides, the black seas between the shining islands of light. And we, the Earth, the Sun, the Milky Way, Andromeda, are simply a canoe caught in one of its endless currents, drifting toward a sea too wide for any one map. When astronomers map this cosmic geography, they see something astonishing. Webs within webs, currents within currents. Filaments of dark matter stretch across the universe like neural pathways, connecting galaxies the way thoughts connect within the human mind. At their intersections, clusters bloom, dense nodes of light and life where gravity gathers the raw material of creation. Between them lie the vast cosmic voids, the silent plains of existence, empty yet essential, the spaces between the notes of the universe's eternal song. And within one of those glowing threads, in a small cluster of galaxies, in a single spiral arm of a modest galaxy, circles a pale blue world. A world that wonders. A world that looks up and asks, where are we in all of this? Perhaps that is the most extraordinary part. Not the scale, not the beauty, but the awareness that among all these galaxies, among all these spinning suns and drifting worlds, one small species has opened its eyes and tried to draw the first map of infinity. We, the children of stardust, are the universe trying to recognize its own reflection. We name what we see, the Milky Way, Andromeda, Virgo. But in truth, these names are simply our way of remembering that we belong. We are the consciousness of a cosmos that has begun to dream of itself. And when we look out into the local group, we are not gazing into distance, we are gazing into relationship. For even the farthest galaxies are not strangers, they are our extended kin, our luminous relatives living farther down the same river of time. Does not rush. And that river, the current that carries us all, is gravity, the universe's oldest storyteller. It does not rush. It does not shout. It whispers patiently, pulling atoms into stars, stars into galaxies, galaxies into clusters, clusters into networks, and eventually, perhaps, all things into one. It is gravity that brought hydrogen together to light the first suns, gravity that sculpted the Milky Way and Andromeda, gravity that now draws us toward our eventual union. Every star, every orbit, every heartbeat follows its subtle instructions. We are written into its rhythm. If you were to zoom out far enough, beyond galaxies, beyond clusters, beyond even the superclusters, you would see the entire universe arranged like a great cosmic web, shimmering with the faint light of billions of galaxies, woven into a pattern too vast to ever fully perceive. A single structure, a single motion, a single breath. And in that view, our local group, our little village of stars, is not small. It is essential. It is one luminous note in the grand symphony of existence, a harmony within harmonies, a reminder that every scale of the cosmos, from the atom to the galaxy, follows the same music. So when you step outside tonight and the stars seem far away, remember this: you are not an outsider looking in. You are inside the pattern. You are part of the web, a single vibration in the living fabric of space and time. The light that reaches your eyes has crossed those invisible threads, flowing through the same gravitational rivers that shape all things. You are connected to the Milky Way, to Andromeda, to the small, shy dwarfs drifting in their orbits, to the immense, unseen architecture that holds them all. The local group is our neighborhood, but the neighborhood itself is part of something larger still, a universe that is not separate but singular. And we, tiny and fleeting as we are, belong to its story completely. In the end, perhaps that's the truest comfort. To know that no matter how far we drift, we are always within reach of something greater. Gravity holds us, time carries us, light remembers us. And as we float through this infinite village of galaxies, We are, and always have been, home. Every age has its tools for remembering. For ancient sailors, it was the sextant and the stars. For archaeologists, the trowel and the brush. For us, the dreamers of the cosmic age, our instruments are telescopes, the quiet sentinels that stretch our sight beyond the limits of the eye. Each one, in its own way, is a time machine. Every lens, every mirror, every dish pointed toward Andromeda is an invitation to travel backward through light, to peel away the layers of the present and see the world as it once was. From the century-old glass of Mount Wilson, where astronomers first glimpsed Andromeda as a galaxy rather than a mere cloud, to the orbiting observatories that now see her in wavelengths our eyes can't even imagine. Each instrument adds a brushstroke to an ever-growing portrait. Together they form a palimpsest of light, a canvas written, erased, and rewritten by a universe that never stops speaking. In infrared, the dust lanes that once appeared as shadows bloom into warmth. They glow softly, revealing the nurseries where new stars take form. Hidden cradles of creation, invisible to ordinary sight. What was once darkness becomes tenderness. You realize then that absence is not emptiness, it is simply light waiting to be seen in another way. Through radio waves, a different story emerges. The faint whisper of hydrogen, the universe's first and simplest element, stretching across the galaxy like a skeleton of possibility. This is the raw material from which tomorrow's stars will be born. The cool breath of potential, the silence before song. In ultraviolet, the youngest stars flare electric blue, their fierce energy cutting through the dust like a blade of wind through mist. These are the newborns of Andromeda, still wild, still radiant with the chaos of youth. And through X-rays we see the remnants, the compact hearts of dead stars, the collapsed cores that once burned bright and now whisper faintly in high-energy light. They are the cinders of titans, proof that even endings have luminosity. Each wavelength tells its own story, but no single one can tell the whole truth, because truth, like light, arrives in shards. It is scattered, refracted, sometimes hidden in the glare of its own brilliance. To know Andromeda, to truly see her, we must gather those fragments and hold them together, layer by layer, until a pattern emerges. This is how science becomes art. The astronomer, like the archaeologist, is not simply a collector of facts, but a weaver of meaning. Both work in the language of patience, brushing away dust or noise, listening for what the past is trying to say. From the cold domes of Mount Wilson to the quiet hum of space telescopes, humanity has been building these instruments for more than a century, each one an extension of our curiosity, each one a vessel for our longing to understand. At Mount Wilson, Edwin Hubble once placed his eye to the glass and saw Andromeda for what it truly was, not a nearby nebula, but another galaxy, another island universe, a revelation that shattered our sense of scale forever. That old telescope still stands today, its metal ribs creaking softly in the mountain wind, a monument to the moment when humanity realized it was not the center, but part of something vast and shared. Now, our instruments orbit above the atmosphere, radio dishes listening to whispers from the dawn of time, infrared telescopes painting the unseen heat of the cosmos, X-ray observatories catching the screams of dying stars. They do not look at Andromeda so much as through her, reading her like a layered manuscript, each frequency a different chapter in the same story. When we combine them, When we overlay those layers of light from cool hydrogen to fierce gamma rays, something miraculous happens. Andromeda transforms from a flat picture in the sky into a living organism, a breathing system of birth, decay, and renewal. We see the rivers of dust feeding her arms. We see the winds from old stars seeding the clouds of new ones. We see the pulsing X-ray flares of black holes feeding quietly at her center. Every instrument, every spectrum contributes a verse to the symphony. And the more we look, the more we realize that the galaxy is not an object. It is an experience of time itself. Because to observe light is to touch the past. Every photon carries a timestamp, a record of where it came from and when. To study Andromeda is to reach backward across 2 million years, to receive messages that began their journey before our species existed. Each wavelength, each shimmer, each pulse is a piece of time, preserved in motion. When we line them up, we are doing more than science. We are building a bridge between epochs. We are touching a story that began long before us and will continue long after we are gone. Perhaps that's why the astronomer's work feels so reverent, so monastic. Each night spent aligning lenses or cleaning data is a kind of meditation, a conversation with the infinite. The hum of machines, the flicker of a screen, these are the chants of modern temples. And yet, for all our instruments, there will always be something just beyond reach. A wavelength we cannot detect, a frequency we cannot hear. And perhaps that is it should be. For mystery is not the absence of knowledge. It is the space that allows wonder to exist. Without it, the universe would be a machine. With it, the universe becomes poetry. Every telescope, from the old glass mirrors of the past to the great observatories orbiting above the world tonight, is an act of faith. Faith that light remembers, faith that the universe is knowable, faith that our small minds bound by time can still reach for the eternal. When you see a photograph of Andromeda, know that it is not a single picture. It is hundreds of thousands of observations woven together, a mosaic of time, energy, and human curiosity. Each pixel represents not just starlight but patience, the accumulated devotion of countless observers who have given their nights to watch the sky. And in that realization, you begin to feel the deeper truth, that we, too, are instruments. Our eyes, our hearts, our memories, they are the telescopes through which the universe learns about itself. We gather moments, we layer experiences, and only when we hold them together does meaning begin to form. Like Andromeda, our own lives are palimpsests, stories written, erased, and rewritten in light. And perhaps, when seen from afar, we too will one day be understood as a small but luminous note in the great symphony of remembering. What does it all mean? All these galaxies, these spirals of dust and fire, drifting through a silence so vast it humbles language itself. What does it have to do with you, sitting here in a quiet room, perhaps tired, perhaps lonely, your knees aching from the long day, your mind heavy with the weight of small, earthly worries? Maybe everything. Maybe everything. Because what we call the universe is not something out there. It is here, within you, around you, written into every cell of your being. The distance between you and Andromeda is not as wide as it seems. For the same laws that move galaxies through the dark are the same laws that move the blood through your veins. The same rhythm that turns the stars beats quietly inside your chest. When we speak of cosmic time, of billions of years and collapsing suns, it's easy to feel small. a single breath in an endless wind. But perhaps that's the wrong way to see it. Perhaps you are not small at all. Perhaps you are precisely the size of the universe's awareness of itself. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the carbon in your breath. None of these things were born on Earth. They were forged in the hearts of stars, in furnaces that burned brighter and hotter than anything we can imagine. Those stars lived, and then they died, exploding in luminous surrender, scattering their elements into the cosmic sea. And from those ashes, eventually, you were made. You are not beneath the stars. You are of them. Of them. So when you look up at Andromeda and feel wonder, know that you are looking at your own reflection, your own atoms illuminated at a distance of 2 million light years. The galaxy you see is not just a foreign world, but a memory of your own origin, an echo of the fires that created everything you are. To study the cosmos, then, is to study yourself. It is strange, isn't it, that the universe, vast, ancient, indifferent, should give rise to creatures capable of love, of regret, of longing? That stardust should learn to fear the dark, and then, just as suddenly, find beauty in it? It almost feels like the universe dreaming. And perhaps that's exactly what consciousness is, the cosmos finally seeing its own reflection in the mirror of a human mind. But even knowing this, life still hurts. The bills still come. The days still rush by, and the nights still bring their quiet worries. Pain, after all, is not erased by wonder, but it can be softened by perspective. Because when we look at Andromeda, we are reminded that everything changes, but not all change is loss. Orbits shift, patterns endure, stars die, galaxies merge. And still the music continues. You and I, our fears, our hopes, our fleeting joys, are notes in that same ancient song. Brief, yes, but essential to the melody. Some nights when you feel heavy with memory, when the world feels too small or too cruel, remember this. The atoms in your body have traveled through eternity to be here. Each particle of your being has survived explosions, collisions, and eons of drifting through the dark, only to find itself now assembled into the singular, unrepeatable form that is you. You are a continuation of every star that ever lived. You are the latest expression of a story written in hydrogen and hope. And that story is still being told through your thoughts, your kindness, your breath. It's easy to think of galaxies as distant things, cold and unreachable. But in truth, they are our ancestors. Andromeda's light does not just travel toward us. It reminds us of where we came from. It whispers that we are part of a lineage billions of years old, that we belong to something vast, something that does not end when we end. When you exhale, the carbon you release drifts upward into the air, where one day it may be absorbed by a tree, or dissolved into the ocean, or caught by the wind and carried into the upper atmosphere. And long after you are gone, those atoms will continue their journey, perhaps even into the birth of a new star, perhaps into the veins of some future being who will also sit awake at night and look toward Andromeda, wondering what it all means. Everything you are, everything you love, everything you've ever lost is still part of the cycle. Nothing is wasted. The universe is the ultimate recycler, turning matter into meaning and meaning back into matter forever. So if tonight your body aches, if your heart feels tired, if the world seems too heavy to carry, remember, you are not separate from the galaxies that spin above you. You are made of their endurance. Their light flows through you. Their gravity holds you steady, Their rhythm keeps time with your pulse. You are, quite literally, the universe continuing its own work of creation in the small and sacred form of a human life. That is the human scale of cosmic truth, not insignificance, but participation. We are not spectators of the stars, we are collaborators. Every act of compassion, every spark of curiosity, every quiet moment of awe is an echo of the same forces that build galaxies. In a way, our emotions are a kind of physics. Love is gravity, the invisible pull that binds one soul to another. Memory is light, the past still traveling toward us across the years. And grief, perhaps, is entropy, the natural release that reminds us that nothing can remain still forever. And yet, even in grief, there is creation. Even in endings, there is light. The stars have shown us that. So what does all this mean for you, the listener, lying in the dark? The traveler carrying the quiet weight of living? It means you are not adrift. You are not forgotten. You are a continuation of everything the universe has ever loved. You are not outside of the story. You are the story, written in the same alphabet of atoms as the stars themselves. The next time you feel small, look up. That faint blur you see, Andromeda, is your cousin, your mirror, your origin. And just as she moves toward us across 2 million light years, so too do we move toward our own becoming. Slowly, patiently, inevitably. Perhaps in the end, this is the quiet comfort that science gives us. Not certainty, but belonging. The knowledge that even in the coldest reaches of space, we are not alone. That in the grand machinery of creation, every breath matters. Every heartbeat echoes. Every light, however brief, contributes to the glow. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's everything. For as long as you live, the stars will live through you. The same iron, the same fire, the same story, continuing on. And as you drift toward sleep tonight, remember, you are not watching the cosmos. You are part of its dreaming. If galaxies can breathe, can live, can rest, then perhaps civilizations can too. Look closely enough, and you begin to sense a rhythm not just in the stars, but in everything that has ever tried to exist. Galaxies have heartbeats, bursts of star birth followed by long silences, moments of brilliant creation followed by slow dimming, only to flare again when new clouds of gas drift inward, ready to be reborn. Could humanity too follow such a rhythm? Could our stories, our empires, our ideas move to the same cosmic tempo? Bright ages, long winters, expansions and hushes, collapses and renewals. Perhaps what we call progress is not a straight road, but a pulse. An inhalation, an exhalation, a rise, a rest, a remembering. History, like the universe, never moves in a line. It spirals. It circles back on itself, each age echoing the last in a new form. Civilizations rise like stars in the nebula of human potential, burn brightly, exhaust their fuel, and fade into the quiet dust from which new worlds will form. It is not failure. It is the rhythm of existence itself, the art of graceful change. Andromeda has lived through such cycles for billions of years. Her golden center is ancient, filled with the remains of stars that burned long before our sun existed. Yet around that quiet heart, new arms of blue continue to bloom, young suns kindling where the old have gone dark. She is not static, she is self-renewing. Every loss is recycled into new light. Every ending becomes the raw material of beginning. What if civilizations, and perhaps even consciousness itself, are built upon that same law, that the only true constant is transformation? When we look back at our own history, we can almost see the heartbeat. The empires that rose like supernovae, brief, radiant, consuming, and the long, dark centuries that followed when the light seemed to fade. Yet in every dark age, there were embers still glowing, in monasteries, in deserts, in the quiet minds of dreamers. And from those embers, new stars of thought ignited again. The Renaissance after the Middle Ages, science after superstition, hope after despair. The cycle continues. Civilizations like galaxies do not truly die. They change form. Their energy is redistributed, their light passed on through memory, art, language, through the unseen gravity of ideas. Andromeda might be reminding us of this, that the universe itself does not favor permanence, it favors balance. No light can burn forever at the same intensity. Even the stars must rest. Even galaxies drift into quieter phases where the fires of birth cool into reflection. Maybe this is what we are experiencing now, not decline, but a pause in the great breathing of civilization. A moment between heartbeats. A silence before the next chord of creation begins. For the heartbeat of humanity, like the heartbeat of a galaxy, is too slow to hear in a single lifetime. It is a rhythm measured not in centuries, but in epochs. We live within one small inhale of it, never knowing whether the breath is rising or falling, only that it moves. Some will say this is poetry, not physics, and they will be right, but only partly, because poetry is not the opposite of science. It is the language of wonder, the way the mind touches patterns larger than itself. When words fail to quantify what the heart already understands, poetry becomes the bridge. Science tells us how Andromeda breathes. Poetry asks why it does. And somewhere in between, in that space where reason and reverence overlap, we begin to recognize that both are part of the same knowing. Andromeda is teaching us quietly that growth is not a straight line. It bends, it loops, it rests, it renews. It is not the endless climb of progress, but the gentle spiral of remembering. Every revolution brings us closer not to some external destiny, but to the realization that we've been part of the pattern all along. The galaxy's lesson is one of grace. She does not resist change, she transforms through it. She allows collision, absorption, rebirth, and in doing so she endures. Perhaps survival, in the truest sense, is not about strength, but about fluidity. About moving with the current, rather than against it. Imagine for a moment that the universe is alive, not metaphorically but truly. That every galaxy is a thought in the mind of creation, and every civilization, every person, is one of its fleeting dreams. Then our rise and fall, our shining and our silence, are simply the inhale and exhale of that greater mind. We are not failures of time, but participants in its pulse. The long pauses of history are not decay, they are rest. The losses we fear may simply be transitions, a reorganization of energy into new forms. The same carbon that once fueled a dying star now fuels your heartbeat. The same silence that followed its explosion became the space in which your thoughts can form. You are the continuation of a pattern older than the stars. When Andromeda looks back across her own billions of years, she does not mourn what she once was. She carries every version of herself. Every collision, every burst of creation as part of her design. The beauty we see tonight is the result of her willingness to change, to dissolve, to merge, to begin again. And if the universe itself embraces transformation so completely, shouldn't we learn to do the same? Our civilizations, our lives, our dreams, they too will evolve, collapse, and reform. What we build today may become the foundation of a brighter tomorrow. What we lose may one day return, not as it was, but as something wiser. So as you sit here beneath the quiet dome of night, listening to the hum of distant galaxies, let this thought settle gently within you. Everything breathes. Everything moves in cycles. From the pulse of your heart to the turning of Andromeda's arms, it is all one rhythm, one great inhalation and exhalation of being. The stars have their bright ages and long winters. Civilizations have their seasons of silence and rebirth. And through it all, existence continues its slow, elegant dance of renewal. So take comfort, traveler of time. You are not lost in the drift. You are part of the heartbeat, the same pulse that keeps galaxies alive. And though you cannot hear it now, it is always there, beating quietly beneath the noise of the world, reminding you that change is not the end. It is simply the universe taking its next breath. Maybe history was never a ladder. Maybe it was always a tide. We have spent so long trying to climb, higher, faster, farther, believing that progress means ascent, that wisdom means control, that the summit will bring us closer to the stars. But the stars, if they could speak, might tell us something gentler, that life is not an ascent, but a current, that the secret is not in climbing, but in learning how to flow. Because the universe does not rise, it circulates. Everything moves, exchanges, transforms. Every atom in your body, every photon in Andromeda's arms, is part of an eternal conversation between what was and what will be. Nothing in creation holds still long enough to be owned. Not a star, not a thought, not even time itself. When we look at the spiral arms of Andromeda, we see this truth made visible. Those glowing swirls of light are not solid, permanent things. They are rivers, currents of gas and gravity dancing together, shaping and reshaping one another endlessly. Stars are born within them, live their radiant lives, and then return their elements to the flow. Iron to nebula, carbon to dust, dust to the next generation of suns. It is a cycle so vast, so tender that it feels almost like forgiveness. The galaxy does not conquer its darkness, it collaborates with it. The arms of Andromeda are not at war with the void, they use it, curve with it, trust its pull. Light is born not by resistance, but by relationship. And maybe that is what wisdom really means. Not power over nature, but partnership with it. Not dominance, but dialogue. To understand the currents, to read their rhythm, to know when to move and when to be still. For too long, humanity has imagined itself as the master of the world. The one who tames rivers, reshapes mountains, conquers storms, and bends the earth to its will. But the universe has been whispering a different kind of lesson since the first atoms came together to make light. That creation is a collaboration. That nothing endures by force, only by balance. The spiral of Andromeda is proof. Its beauty is not born from struggle, but from cooperation. Between matter and motion, between gravity and chaos, between emptiness and form. Perhaps, if we could learn to live as galaxies do, to let go of what must move on, to give back what we take, to see renewal not as loss but as continuity, then we might finally begin to understand our place in the pattern. The faint blur of Andromeda hanging above the world at night is not just a light to be admired. It is an idea, a reminder of rhythm, a simple truth hidden in a million suns, that existence endures through exchange. The stars give and receive, planets form and dissolve, molecules break apart only to find each other again in new combinations. The universe does not hoard, it circulates. Its only permanence is motion. Everything that lives survives by moving. The river that stops flowing stagnates. The tree that refuses to shed its leaves cannot grow again. Even the human heart, that small, ceaseless engine, reminds us of the same cosmic law, continuity through renewal. It beats, it pauses, it beats again, always giving, always receiving, never holding anything too tightly. Maybe history, too, obeys that rhythm. Maybe it is not the story of nations rising above one another, but the story of ideas learning how to coexist. Every age thinks itself the culmination, and yet every age becomes the soil for what comes next. Civilizations are like galaxies. They expand, they merge, they transform. What survives is not the monument or the empire, but the exchange, the movement of knowledge, the passing of wisdom, the sharing of light. In that sense, we are all participating in something eternal. Every thought you have, every kindness you offer is part of the flow, a ripple moving outward into the dark, touching others in ways you will never fully know. Andromeda teaches us this through her quiet persistence. She turns unhurried through a sea of stars. She does not cling to her shape, for she knows even that will one day change, warped by encounters, reshaped by time, reborn in the arms of another galaxy. To her, this is not tragedy, it is destiny. It is continuity. What if we could hold our own impermanence with such grace? What if we could see every ending as a reconfiguration, every loss as a redistribution of light? Then perhaps we would no longer fear change, but recognize it as the universe breathing through us. Wisdom, then, is not knowledge. It is harmony, the art of reading the tide instead of fighting it, of knowing when to let go, when to stay still, when to trust the current to carry you where you are meant to go. The spiral arms of Andromeda have done this for billions of years. They do not ask what they are becoming. They simply move, and in their movement, they create beauty. Maybe that is the quiet philosophy the stars have been offering all along. That to exist is not to own, but to participate. To belong not through possession, but through contribution. To live not by accumulation, but by circulation. By becoming part of the great, unending exchange of light and time. So if history is a tide, then we are the waves upon it, each of us rising and falling in our own rhythm, each part of something far larger than we can see. And if wisdom is collaboration, then every act of kindness, every gesture of humility, every moment of stillness becomes a form of alignment, a way of breathing in rhythm with the stars. The universe does not hoard, it circulates. And when we learn to do the same, to give and to receive, to move and to rest, to shine and to fade, we find ourselves finally in tune with the oldest pattern there is, the slow, eternal spiral of renewal, turning endlessly through the dark, forever making light from darkness. Step outside. The night has settled, soft and endless, and above you hangs the same pale blur that has guided our story from the beginning. Andromeda. A faint oval, a memory written in starlight, a whisper from the edge of time. It is easy to miss if you're not looking carefully. But once you see it, truly see it, something deep inside you goes quiet. Take a breath. Slow, unhurried. Let your breathing match its rhythm. The slow turn of a galaxy that has been exhaling light for billions of years. With each inhale, you are drawing in a little of its history. With each exhale, you are giving something back. In this exchange, you are no longer a bystander to the cosmos. You are part of its breathing. Somewhere in that oval, a star is being born. Somewhere else, another is dimming into silence. Between those two moments, the ignition of one life and the farewell of another, lies the entire story of existence. Creation and dissolution, light and rest, becoming and return. This is the pulse of the universe, and you are listening to it now. Perhaps that's what history truly is. Not a march forward, but a heartbeat. Not a ladder to climb, but a tide to feel. We mistake it for progress because we only live long enough to see a single wave. But the universe remembers every cycle, every rise and fall, every time it has learned to begin again. As you look at Andromeda tonight, remember that what you are seeing is not a stranger. It is the mirror of our own future, our own past, our own pattern repeating on a scale too vast for our senses to hold. Its light left before there were humans to name it, before there were languages to describe awe. And yet somehow that light has found its way here, to your eyes, to this moment, to this single quiet breath beneath a dark and generous sky. You are the universe catching sight of itself, just for an instant. The stars are not watching you, they are remembering through you. Maybe that's what consciousness is, the long echo of the cosmos realizing that it exists. We think we are learning. We think we are discovering the mysteries of space, the birth of stars, the origins of life. But perhaps we are simply remembering what the atoms in us already know. Remembering what the universe whispered into our being when it forged us from the ashes of forgotten suns. We are not students of the cosmos. We are its continuation, its living memory, its voice spoken softly through human thought. And so each night that you lift your eyes to the dark, you are participating in something ancient and tender, the act of the universe remembering itself through wonder. Through you. Let that thought settle into you. Feel how small you are, and then feel how infinite that smallness truly is. You are the breath of a galaxy, the flicker of a star, the echo of a beginning that never really ended. Every heartbeat you feel is a chord in the same long symphony that plays between the galaxies. And somewhere in that oval of light, Andromeda continues to turn. Stars being born, stars saying goodnight. Creation and rest, over and over without end. It is the universe breathing, and you here are part of that same exhale. So before you turn in for the night, take one last look at the faint smudge, at the stars beyond it, at the silence that holds them all. Let it remind you that existence does not rush, that everything, galaxies, civilizations, lives, has its own pace, its own pulse, its own way of coming back around. History, memory, meaning, they are not separate things. They are one long breath, inhaled and exhaled through the body of time. And if, as you stand there beneath the sky, you feel a small warmth rise in your chest, that quiet shimmer of recognition, then perhaps you felt what the oldest astronomers once felt, that the universe is not a thing to be solved, but a mystery to be loved, that there are still good secrets hiding in the dark, still questions worth asking, still stories worth remembering. If you believe that, if you still feel the pull of wonder after all this, then stay curious. Keep listening, keep watching, and come travel with me again. For the night is not over. The stars are still speaking, and somewhere, even now, the universe is taking its next long quiet breath. Thank you for listening. Sleep well.